This is an exclusive House of Ramirez interview.
Hey guys, this is H.O.R. Ramirez. You already know we out here doing it big, and we're noticing all the successful entrepreneurs that are out here with us. And with me, I have Anna Nyakana. Anna, can you please introduce yourself? I want to thank you first off for being on H.O.R. Ramirez. Thank you. Can you please introduce yourself?
Absolutely. And thank you so much for inviting me and for creating such an amazing platform where you are focusing on us, those of us of color and of culture that are doing the work day in and day out to progress. My name is Anna Nyakana, like I was just introduced. I am author, motivational speaker, entrepreneur of NIYAH ZURI books, NIYAH ZURI studios, and fundamentally NIYAH ZURI world and everything that's coming across and around the world today.
Yeah. And I did pay attention to your website. I went ahead and looked at your website. I'm like, it's so beautiful. But there's so much more to those beautiful colors and the beautiful website that you have. You know, you're empowering our children, and it's very important that we see the proper representation as well as the educational back end to just the representation itself. There's so much more that you're offering our children. And it's encouraging because our children need it. You know, for a long time, we went without representation, whether in textbooks or movies. And I read up on that. You were tailoring to that because you understand. Can you tell me more about that?
Absolutely. And thank you for the feedback and just for pouring into me and the encouragement. I'm happy that you love the website. I actually fully design and develop it myself under NIYAH ZURI Studios. I am a woman of many hats, so I'm just grateful that you felt a connection to it and all the content that's being represented there. So as you mentioned, yes, I was very intentional with creating the series. The first book, NIYAH ZURI and the Pharaoh's Throne, I will throw it in the camera box there. And it was all because growing up in the States, I'm originally from Berlin, Germany. My mother is Moldavian German. My father is East African from an amazing country called Uganda. Stand up Uganda on my Mankoli. Yeah, stand up, shout out. I do a lot of shout outs. And, I couldn't find my place in this world here in this American society. And being in English as a second learner, I was always encouraged to take books home and practice my English. But since there were no books, there are no books with anyone on the cover that looked like me. It was always an animal or a boy, or if there was a girl, she was in the background and she was like this princess or damsel in distress. There was no like strong-minded girls that were leaders, that were heroines. And that was something that always stuck with me because my school was not in the best part of town. So we had very low resources and we also didn't have anybody motivating us. So I took all of these critical things and these experiences from my childhood and I decided to change the narrative. It was not okay for me to be able to go into a school and there be no books that had any sort of representation. So instead of complaining about it, hoping, wishing, praying that one day there would be a change where my children will grow up and be able to not only see the books in their schools, in the libraries, or even in the bookstore, but actually see it taught in the curriculum. And that has been my number one focus, literally knocking down the doors of these schools to ensure that our culture and all world cultures are being represented and are being taught with accuracy, without indoctrination, and with glorification of our richness and our history and of our contributions to this world. 365, not in a single month, not during Black History Month, not during Latin Heritage Month, all year long, because we are representative of the world and have contributed so much. And it would not allow me to really sleep at night if I knew that I continued to progress in this world and didn't have that contribution. So that in a nutshell is where NIYAH ZURI was born.
Yes. And I want to thank you for that. And I do see that you're stressing and tailoring to diversity in the classroom. It's very important. So the fact that you're so determined, so encourageable when you're doing this for all of us, you're relentless, and that's what we need. We need somebody on our end, on our corner, in our corner, to fight for us, to fight for diversity. Like you mentioned, we actually have a lot to do with history for so long, and we need that representation and also what it means to our young ones. When they grow up, they'll remember, your series, and they'll understand that, I remember those books. This young lady cared enough to write books for us to be encouraged and move forward and feel like we're important, and children, they're like sponges, and when you have a product that encourages them and pushes them to be their better self, and also motivate them to do greater things, not just stick to the norm, but do greater things. That's just, that's beautiful.
Oh, you are so encouraging. Thank you for seeing the vision. And thank you for seeing the mission. I'm going to officially welcome you to the NIYAH ZURI tribe. So shout out to the tribe, because I do that every interview as well. Thank you. And that means that you are on board with continuing the work to make the change for our youth, to really transform this world, because they are going to inherit it, sis. And like you said, if we don't build them up now to have a proper sense of self and knowledge of self and knowledge and self-love, well, they're going to enter this world thinking that they're second-class citizens, and that is not the case. We have created all history, so let our history be known.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And that's what I really love, and I understand that, you're spreading this in Connecticut, this beautiful series into the curriculum in Connecticut, correct? In your state?
It has taken over Connecticut. I'm now in like 8 different states. I'm everywhere.
Oh, wow,
Texas,
that's amazing.
Kansas, California, Louisiana, New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Canada, UK. I'm starting to go overseas. So I'm just so thankful that the movement is starting to really spark. I'm finishing up the second book now, NIYAH ZURI and the Mayan Eclipse. The story continues from ancient Egypt now to ancient Maya. And I'm also bridging the gap to show how we have really filled this world, and how we migrated, and how our history and our traditions were carried out throughout the ages. Really, you could see in the sense of architecture, astronomy, engineering, things that were carried from Egypt now to ancient Maya, which is, like modern day Mexico City is where the main capital was at that point, many centuries ago, before the Spaniards came, right? So once again, showing us how we are all interconnected. And it's not about one history being more important than the other. It's just about the recognition and putting some respect on our names.
Exactly. Yeah.
Put some respect on our names.
Yeah. And I was looking into the book, and it's very rich in culture, very rich in history. So it gives, like you said, not one culture is better than the other. What you're doing is at least giving that platform to be proud of where you come from, regardless of where that's from. The Hispanic and Black community, we have to be more proud than ever to acknowledge that there's all this information out here, including your book, that's informing us and our children, that we have to be proud. We are great, and it's needed, especially in the classroom. And the classrooms don't really, when I was growing up, of course, they weren't really teaching the truth, as I would like to say, because they would put a spin on things, for example, Thanksgiving passed, and I respect people that do celebrate it. It's an opportunity for people to come together, but I don't celebrate it. I just see it for what it is. I'm around family members, and that's it. But that story has been spun a lot of times, and we have to have books that have some type of meaning that's truthful. There's nothing wrong with speaking truth, and that's what we need. We need proper representation in rich cultured books that tell the truth. So, yeah.
Yes, that are historically accurate, right? And that are really equipping our youth to understand that we are from the origin of all lands. Really, we have birthed this entire world. And by understanding the length of history, and by, once again, putting some respect on our names and recognizing us for our contributions, that really does unite us as humankind. It isn't about one culture or one race being the other, but don't try to ignore that we have birthed this world. Don't try to ignore all of our contributions, that we're the first of everything. Okay. The sciences, the mathematics, the culture, the artistry, the music. We created that. Give us that respect. Let that fuel us. Let that empower us, especially our youth. There is no reason why they should feel like they are less than, or that they are not valued. Their history, our history, is not even being taught. It's not being glorified. And if it is, it's being so manipulated and so concentrated, especially Black African-American culture. They just talk about slavery and civil rights. That is not okay with me. Plantations, we are beyond plantations. How about when we were the masters, when we were the queens, when we were the kings, and we were the emperors and empresses, and we had empires, and we were the ones who created the first written language. Let's talk about
calendars,
yes,
structures. You know, we were, and we
Navigating by
still,
the stars.
yes, yes.
Linguistics. We've created all
Thank you.
language. Yes, sis. Yes.
Yeah, and you know, and like you mentioned, it's not throwing dirt on another race. What it's doing is just putting focus on our race, so our races, so we can understand the truth and feel,
Yes.
you know, empowered. But like you mentioned, we are all coming together, no matter what your background is,
Mhm.
to promote this encouragement of thyself. So even if there's an Asian or a white or any other race that's helping us encourage our youth to see this, they're part of the program too. They appreciate us. They appreciate what our ancestors have done. And that's what it's
Yeah.
needed. You know, we need unity. We need to come together to encourage our history. We're rich, like you mentioned, we're so much more than what they, you know, like to mention over and over and over again.
Mhm.
And we have to be very careful what we continue to repeat in our minds and what we continue to repeat out loud. We have to continue to understand that there was always
Mhm.
a before that part in history. You know, there was always a greatness, like
Yeah.
we just spoke
Yes.
about. And what about now? We're so focused on this little segment of history that is not so happy, and we don't even acknowledge the past when we were great. We're going to be stuck here in the future contemplating about a sad piece of history, not being able to be our full potential if we keep looking back at something that's not so nice. So we need to be in the now, be informed, and
Yeah.
move forward. And that's what we're good at since day one. So, you know, this is only going to excel our future. So I'm very excited about it.
Mhm. I'm very excited about it too. Thank you so much for the feedback and just the conversation. And I'm so encouraged to meet another sister that is committed to the cause and committed to truth and committed to harmony and empathy and love and understanding. That's how we progress. You said two of my favorite words: fullest potential. Another part of what I do, in addition to the NIYAH ZURI books, I have these set of truths called the fundamental truths of NIYAH ZURI. And these are essentially how I empower the youth. That's the other half of what I do. One, we didn't have representation. Two, no one was coming to check on us and tell us that we were worth of anything. They were waiting for us to mess up, right? There are only like 3 paths that you had in the neighborhood that I grew up in. You either went to jail, there was like early teen pregnancy, and you got on food stamps if you were lucky, and Section 8 if you were lucky, or unfortunately you didn't make it out the hood and your life ended or was taken from you before its time. Like, I refuse to be a statistic. My parents worked very hard to get us out. It wasn't until I was 16, I was already in high school. But at the same time, I'm very thankful for my childhood. I'm thankful for the way that I grew up, because it exposed the world to me, coming from overseas, seeing this American culture here, and then growing up in the disparity, really in like the pit of it all, like the castaways. We were the castaways. Like, I was being passed on to the next grade level and I couldn't even speak English, sis. That shows that there is something broken in the system. The teachers and the administrators were so stressed out and felt that they had no power at all. They had to meet their quotas and they had to make sure that they passed a certain amount of students every year. Otherwise, now they would get, like that heat breathing down their necks. That's a broken system. We need to do better. Teachers and administrators should have a voice. They should be able to say, listen, I want to teach more cultural books, more themes, more cultural understandings in my classroom. Look at the diversity in the classroom. Why is it not being glorified? And the funny thing is I realized that the classroom is one of the first places that a child not of color comes into contact with a child of color. So what an amazing opportunity that is to introduce the truth. We would live in such a different 2020 if that was the case 20 years ago, right? We wouldn't have so much ignorance. The ignorance of the past would be washed away. No one would even listen to their grandparents or maybe even their parents or community elders' stories. They wouldn't lock into that because they respect and love the kids in their class and they understand and accept them for who they are. And that's because they respect them. They respect their culture, and denying their culture would be denying themselves.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
And it just, the program actually helps everyone. So everyone is actually being informed. And that's the beauty of it. You know, it's all inclusive. Nobody's left out. It's empowering, but it's all inclusive. And that's what we need right now. Like you mentioned, if this would have been tackled and nipped in the butt a long time ago, we wouldn't be here in this predicament. But again, you know, talking in the now,
Here we are, but
causing
you know
the
what?
change.
We're rolling up our sleeves. Yep. And we're continuing the work. I always say it, no days off. We have to continue the work. Our youth, they really deserve to inherit a better world than what we have going on right now. I almost feel like we've been set back 20 years. We have a lot of work to do, but I'm encouraged when I come into contact with incredible and open-minded and loving individuals as yourself that are willing to do the work alongside us. It's not just me and my books. It's not you and your platform and your amazing spotlight of all of these individuals that are creating these contributions. You are a contributor as well. And I thank you for that. You're using your voice and you're highlighting others' voices that are making that positive impact. It's so easy to just report on bad news. Exactly. Everybody likes to hear bad news. Everybody likes to hear drama. Everybody likes to hear, the latest gossip, but positivity, effectiveness, like efficient change and transformation. Whoa, that's something of a fairy tale, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
And there's strength in numbers. So I'm encouraged by you, and we need to just continue the work, and everyone that's going to come into contact with this, hopefully will feel the same spark and want to get involved.
Correct. And I thank you for that. Two things I wanted to mention. One, the character in your series, she's actually, up against big obstacles, and she's able to conquer them. So like we mentioned, it's not biased to any gender, but you're actually giving us the other face of the, how would I say, adventurous woman or young lady. And I was just talking to my friend today about that. I told them, you know what? There's nothing wrong with little girls being adventurous. When they grow up, they're going to say, hey, I can travel because I read this in a book. Or, hey, I can be my own business and be a businesswoman and be about it because I read it in the book, And I saw the little girl being able to do it. And I felt like I could do it too. And these are going to be multiple conversations that are going to happen soon and in the future. And I told my friend, I said, there's nothing wrong with a girl being powerful. I said, and her series exactly empowers little girls. Not saying it doesn't empower little boys, because it empowers everyone. But I'm saying it tailors to, like you mentioned, there's no damsel in distress no more. Times have changed and women are strong. Little girls can see the young lady in the series, she's strong. So then it's going to encourage our future young ladies to do whatever you want to do, knowing that if you have a dream, you can conquer it as long as you put that effort in. So it's super empowering, encouraging, and I love it because we're so used to a certain theme, and it's like, come on now.
Listen, this is no Hermione and Harry Potter situation. She is not just the brains in the background that is solving everything. NIYAH ZURI is at the forefront. Another big part of representation is gender representation, really calling and empowering all my girls, letting them know that, yes, they're not going to have to settle to be a damsel in distress. Sis, you can problem solve. Use your greatest treasure, your mind. Those are the things that should be exemplified. Those are the things that you should be competitive about. Don't be competitive about what you're wearing, how your body looks, trying to fit into society's box. Build yourself, young girl. That is how we take charge. That is how powerful you are. And when I said earlier, like our culture has birthed the world, but who is the one doing the birthing? We are. Exactly. Women are so strong, and girls need to understand where to find their power. So yes, NIYAH ZURI is my fearless heroine, my fearless Black heroine with the crazy, wild, curly hair. Yes. And, she is leading the way. Her best friends, Miguel and Hugo Gonzalez, they trust her. They trust her because of her critical thinking skills, because of her problem solving. She really laughs in the face of danger. Nothing scares her. She's so confident. Her parents did an incredible job building her up. And even her name as well is very purposeful with it. NIYAH ZURI actually means beautiful purpose in Swahili. And I did that on purpose to really inspire all girls and all children to live purposefully, live in their fullest potential. Don't just dream big, but actually take the actions to walk in your dreams. I'm going to hit you with these fundamental facts really quick. Number one, don't chase your dreams. Walk in your dreams. Number two, always bet on yourself. Never dim your light. Overcome your fears and know that nothing is impossible. Those are my 5 fundamental truths of NIYAH ZURI. Those are the pillars that I really use to build up my girls, build up my boys, and build up all children, however they identify, to just understand that this world is theirs. They should be intentional, and that everyone has a right to their own destiny. Don't allow your neighborhood, your situation, your family, standings, anything stop you from being fulfilled in your life.
Nothing should be an obstacle too great for you to overcome.
I
And
love saying that there's no such things as obstacles, sis. They're just opportunities for growth, for
that is true.
sharpening, for you to learn something, learn a new skill set, think outside of the box. You know, things are not, when things are comfortable, it doesn't inspire any sort of growth. But
That's
when
true.
you're uncomfortable, well, now you have some movement, right? You're unsettled. You got to try something different. You know, I'm very visual. So it's like, you've got to try something different. Out of uncomfortability comes growth. You expand your mind. You have a further understanding. But if you're comfortable, you just stay in the same thing. You'll listen to what's being, you'll listen to what's being told to you time and time again. You'll read the same old books over and over and over again, not really learning anything about yourself, and you'll be comfortable in it, and that's fine, right? No, you're not living at your fullest potential. Get uncomfortable. Try something new. Take that crazy idea and create a business plan. And you can do that as a child. You could be a kidpreneur. You can go after your dreams right now. Don't let your age try to restrict you. That's why it was so important in the first book. The characters went back to ancient Egypt, and they helped Prince Tut overcome his fear of rule. That was the issue that he was having. Because he was only 8-9 years old when he became Pharaoh.
Exactly.
8-9 years old of an entire ancient kingdom. Of course the kid was scared. He's like, oh, I don't think I can do this. And it's like, listen, Nye and the twins, they figured out a way to get to Egypt. I won't give it out all the way, but they find a way to inspire him and to motivate him and let him know, listen, if you didn't bring about some sort of change and keep your kingdom together, the world today wouldn't exist.
Exactly.
Right? So much of our knowledge has come from the origin of all land. So if that was not something that was carried forward and you just let it all fall apart, we wouldn't even be here from the future. Right. And that gave him the motivation that he needed to stick to his path. So let that be an encouragement to all youth and all adults as well, to not limit yourself. You are the only person who can place limitations on you. Set yourself free, set your mind free, and live in your purpose now. Now is the time. We need everyone's contributions.
Yeah. And I agree, and you have to be able to take that opportunity to grow. There's always going to be a solution. There's always going to be a lesson in the midst of growing and walking forward in whatever situation that you're placed, and I fully believe that. I fully encourage people to get through it. You're going to learn something and you're going to become a better version of yourself. Yeah. So I want to ask you something, well, I did see all the categories you have to offer for parents. It goes for teachers, but I would say for parents as well. Now that we're at home, we're doing virtual learning. You have word search, coloring pages, character change, story mapping, retell a story. You have so many different tools that you're offering for our youth to become, their best self. And I just want to thank you for that. We need that, especially now when we're stuck at home and we're like, oh, I haven't done this in 15 years. We need the tools, the proper tools to help us navigate, to stimulate our children's minds. So thank you.
Absolutely. And I'll just put it out there. Those are all available for free. This is not something that you have to purchase. Just go to my website, www.annanyakana.com. Click on parent and teacher resources and just print or use it online if you can, to fulfill whatever you need. Let it be supplemental learning, let it be extra credit, let it inspire a book club, let it inspire a writer's workshop. Anything that you need is important that we provide the services and the programs for the people.
And the fact that you're giving, of course you have the book and it's not that expensive. I looked at it. I'm finna cop me one.
I did that on purpose. There's a lot of books. Yeah, there's a lot of competitors, and this is like a 134-page book. This is a chapter book. This is a chapter book. There are no pictures in here. I mean, I did reformat it during the quarantine just to add a little bit more design element to it. But fundamentally, there are no illustrated pictures in it. It really is a chapter book, and it does have a full glossary. So parents and kids, any word that's underlined, you can flip to the back of the book and actually build up your vocabulary. Learn about places, people, things that you normally wouldn't have, and other ways to build up your communication skills, because then you can be more confident in your life. And once again, so this is a chapter book, and I noticed that a lot of my competitors, they have their books for like $15, $20, $25, but it was very important to me to stay true to who I am. And it was difficult for my parents to be able to afford Christmas presents, let alone books, right? Most of our gifts were always donated from shelters and from nonprofits around in the community. Shout out to Person to Person. They really gave me literally the clothing on my back up until the age of 16. Every single Christmas present every year. We did not have it. So the last thing that I was able to do would be to ask my parents to even purchase me a book because we don't have the books of representation in school.
Exactly.
That was heartbreaking for me. And I ensured that when my book was going to come out, I was going to make sure that it was at least under $10. And it has only gone up in $2 over the past 4 years. And I did that on purpose. And that will be the cap, and it will remain the cap unless it's like in a series volume, because I need to make sure that the monetary purchase of it is not something that's going to set back a family. At least I know that a child can save up enough quarters to earn $10.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. I noticed that. I was like, huh, get out of here. I was like, wow, she's really looking out for us.
Like,
Like,
get it
there's
from
no-
my website. Don't go to other retailers. You know,
Right.
it's available everywhere, but don't go to other retailers.
Yeah.
You support I am my own publisher as well. So
Yeah.
support an independent publisher. And when you get it from my website, I will autograph it and personalize it to anyone that you want. So you will get a personalized message from me. And if you are buying 5 copies and there's 5 kids' names, I'm sending a different message for every single child, so they feel connected to it.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. I didn't even know that. I saw that it was available on all Barnes and Noble, at Amazon, at other places where you buy your books. But
Everywhere.
Yes. Yeah, we're going to go to your website.
Go to my
Okay.
website.
AnnaNyakana.com. Okay.
You got
So-
it. You got it, sis.
I just want to thank you for that. You know, and I want to say real briefly, my parents are immigrants from Mexico, and I pride myself in that, you know, and I pretty much taught myself English. Of course, I was placed in school, and English was the main language, but my home language was Spanish. But I always saw this teacher speak so differently, and I was like, I want to learn how to talk like her. So then I tweaked my English so much where, you know, I could switch it up. But on the side of town I was raised, I was like, girl, you don't stop playing with me right now. But, you know, it's okay to be able to you know how to navigate. But anyways, vocabulary has been the thing for me growing up. I have to put in that work. I have to. So the fact that you have a book out there that's not expensive for our youth in our own communities to purchase and benefit off of vocabulary wise, that's big.
That's it.
You know?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You know, it was funny. I've told this in a few interviews, but I'll say it here too. So the way that I was actually able to practice my English best is I'll say found so I don't get like fined by the school, but I found an old dictionary in like the back of a classroom one day, and I swiped it and I took it home.
Yep.
And I
Happens.
remained disciplined, and I studied a word, highlighted it every single day, and I studied that word, a new word every day until I became fluent in English. It actually wasn't even my ESL class. They ended up passing me and graduating me like 2 years before everybody else that was in the classroom. Because once you come here at a certain age, I came here in the 1st grade. So by then, English was already my 3rd language that I was learning. So they told me I was going to have to be in ESL for like 5 to 8 years to really condition the mind. You know, to really condition your mind.
It never
and then it was
works out
funny
that
because
way.
the more English I learned, it was funny is that American English is actually backwards. This is not even the proper way to speak English, right? So it was just so funny to me. I stumbled upon that over the years, but I actually practiced and learned my English through a dictionary and just the use of applying myself every day in that immigrant mentality of working hard and earning your worth. So I commend you for that. You know, I commend you for that. And sister to sister, you know, I love your story, and I love the focus that you had and the focus and the values that your parents gave you, because I could see it coming off screen. I could hear it in your voice. I can hear it for the reasons of why you love my book and my movement so much. You see the qualities. And I have a lot of subliminal messaging in the book as well to really, to really uplift our youth. There's a lot of gems in there at the end of the day, and things that more advanced readers will pick up on, and knowledge that is really not taught. Like I said, it is historical fiction. So it's not all completely made up. This is based on research. Everything is based on research. There are plenty of citations. And so you can Google any word in the glossary and you will come up and you can validate that it is fact checked. Exactly. And I did that. It took a little bit of extra time, but I needed to make sure that it could be an educational resource at the end of the day.
Yeah, and to touch up on that, you actually went to school for something completely different, and then you
I
merged
did.
into what you're doing. I read that, and I was like,
I went to
she
school for
really
business.
loves the children. Like, you
I really love
genuinely
the children.
dedicate yourself, that you left the lane you were in the school that you were majoring in, and you shifted completely different because of the want to help. And I just want to give you big kudos for that, because that's big. You know, a lot of people are like, no, this makes more money, and I'll do it down the line, and people forget about it because they put it second. You put it on the forefront, and you focused on that. So yeah, shout out to you.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you so much, sis. Thank you. You know, I do apply a lot of the lessons that I took, but really it was more from the lessons that I had like in the field and from, you know, I was in corporate America for almost 13 years solid on my business degree. And I worked in a lot of different industries, but I knew that this was my calling. I knew that this was my destiny. And, you know, I tried and worked so hard to keep this as a side hustle and do it. But at the end of the day, my heart wasn't where it was. You know, I knew that this was something that I needed to fulfill. This was literally my life's purpose and my life's mission. And I was tired of like splitting myself in half every day. So one day I woke up and I decided to completely walk away from the corporate world and dedicate myself 1000% to the mission. And here I am today.
And we see it, and that's the encouragement we need, you know, for youth and adult. Focus on your purpose. You got to figure out what your purpose is. And I had this conversation today on social media. Focus on what is good for you, and then stick to it. Every day, focus on what step you can take forward in that direction. It just makes sense. Don't fight your purpose. We all have our own thing.
Be thankful if you know what it is. If you don't, then you need to take some more time to do that inner work. Take some time to figure out what you're good at. Take some time to figure out what is going to keep you up at night. What is going to wake you up in the morning? Something that you will do for free. And believe me, I have done so many things for free, and I still do so many things for free. I volunteer my time left and right, left and right, left and right, especially the schools that don't have budgets and things. It's not about that. It's about making the impact. I'm like, oh, we'll find some sponsorship or somebody to cover these, a couple hundred books or whatever it is. At the end of the day, we just want to make sure that the message is there, the books are there, that I can connect with the kids. At the end of the day, that's really what it's about. So whatever you'll do for free is probably your passion.
Exactly.
Don't ignore it. Don't ignore yourself. Everybody was meant to have something that sparked life in them. Find out what that is and hold it tight and really cultivate it. Cultivate that spark into a flame that will burn forevermore, that nobody can extinguish.
Exactly. And I wanted to just thank you for all that. And also I want to ask you about BWIN. So that kind of like flows into what you've been doing. And also you were a speaker at Black Women in Media. So
you fact checked.
Yeah. So it flows into what you have been dedicating yourself to do for us, you know. So what was it like? I want to know, what was it like? How'd you feel? What did you take from it? That's big. There was a lot of big names out there, including yours, you know. Girl.
Big names. And I came to the realization that I can say my name is big too. Yeah. And it was something that I have worked for, opportunities like this that are now presenting themselves and coming my way, really manifesting it and pulling them to me over just years and years of work. It was such an amazing opportunity to be selected to be a speaker, to sit on a panel as well with two other amazing speakers talking about our industry and what we're doing in the publishing and literary world and how we came about, really our origin stories, our transformation stories, and giving useful tips and techniques and advice to other Black women in media, right? Exactly. Women of culture that are doing it and that are doing it well. This is really also a networking opportunity and a way for all sisterhood to really band together and be supportive of each other. You know, we battle things on the daily because of the hue and the color of our skin. We should not be competing against one another. We should be embracing each other, uplifting each other. So it was an amazing event. I'll never forget it for the rest of my life. Definitely some huge names that were on the ticket, that were, a part of the entire conference, and also so many amazing honorees like MC Light. Are you kidding me? Tamron Hall, my girl Venasia from co-founder of Forbes the culture. Shout out to you. You know,
Hey.
it was really an amazing experience, and all these ladies deserve their flowers, and they deserve them now while they're able to actually enjoy them and see them and smell them for their, you know, their life's work up until this point. So it was an amazing experience. Thank you for asking. I look forward to continuing to partner up with all women to really uplift each other, to knowledge share, and to pull up that seat. Pull up that seat at the table. There's plenty of room. Come on, ladies, like, let's go. We don't have to be in this together. We don't have to do like the daily battling together. Let's get together and like, let us be a combined army. We are strong. Like we said, we have birthed this world. We are strong and we have strength and unity. But we already know that there's so many things in place in society that are going to try and break us down. The competitive nature, the fact that they will only do one diversity hire per department, you know, these are the things that we need to fundamentally change. It's not okay. It's 2020. It's time that our voices are heard, but our voices will only be heard if we use them in one accord.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Together we're stronger. And, you know, that's what the whole idea is. This year has really focused on, we have to stick together, you know, and that convention, it just, I was jaw dropped. I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. When I saw that, I was like, I gotta ask her, I gotta know. But yeah, you know,
like, how did she go from like, I'm like doing normal stuff, like YMCA virtual visit with the kids, and then it's like, boom, Black women in media. People like, how are you doing this? I'm like, no days off. I stay working.
Anna, you put in that work. So when you put in that work, you're going to reap the reward. And that's exactly what that is, you know, and there's levels to this. I know that's so cliche, but there's levels to the hard work.
No, there are levels to this. And everyone is deserving of the levels, including yourself. You have to first tell yourself that. We tend to hold ourselves back, especially as women. Like, we are now the secondary class, right? The men are more the dominant. We have to understand that we are birthing these men. Okay. We are raising them up. So why is it an issue for us to raise ourselves up? Raise your vibration, tap into your essence, understand you are an empress, you are a goddess. We speak life, we birth life. So birth it within yourself. Exactly. Attain those levels, whatever levels you want to see. Because once again, we know now that we are the only ones that can put limitations on ourselves. So set yourself free, attain the levels that you want, and be a contributor to this world.
And you're clearly doing that. Girl, you received the 2020 100 Women of Color Award. Can we talk about that? And then Connecticut House of Representatives congratulated you. Like, let's talk about that.
Thank you. And I actually just recently received a second recognition from the Lieutenant Governor, who's also a female from the state of Connecticut. Thank you. Yes, the 100 Women of Color Award. And I was actually the 2020 class valedictorian out of all 100. Yes, it was such a big honor. It's a double honor. It was really something that is recognized really more in all of New England. It's Connecticut, New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island. And there's a selection every year put together by 28 Entertainment and June Archer. And I'm just so thankful for them for recognizing me for the work that I'm doing. I really received the award for the things that people don't know that I do, all the volunteer work. So here's the thing. When I first started out with my book, I got nothing but no's, not only from the publishers, which is why I decided to self-publish, and then years later create my book imprint the proper way, and actually re-release my book this year during the quarantine. And it did hit like 7 bestseller lists, by the way.
Right.
So just goes to show, you stay dedicated, right? You stay focused, and people will support people. You build up that movement in the tribe for the right reasons. Stay authentic, and people will definitely support you if the reasoning is there, if the impact is there for the right reasons. So with that said, I also had issues getting into schools. I'm like, this book needs to be in the curriculum. Like, have it in the curriculum. I just thought they would say yes because I'm so optimistic and I can see the vision so clearly, but all I got were no's. I got no's from all the schools. They didn't want me in there. Their curriculums were already completed for the year. They didn't have the budget. It was like excuse after excuse after excuse. So I stuck to what I knew. I went to the hood. I went to the projects. I went to the lowest performing schools that nobody cared about. And they didn't say no. They didn't turn me away. They were thankful to see someone that looked like them, that sounded like them, but that has come from where they have come from and has decided to continue to push ahead against the no's, give myself a yes. And now I'm here to motivate you. I'm here to empower you. I'm here to give you something where you can learn about yourself, right? And build up that knowledge of self. They didn't say no. So I went to the schools that nobody wanted to, and I volunteered my time.
Yeah.
I didn't care about getting paid, my author fees to come there and spend my time, whether it was a classic author visit, whether it was a workshop, a writer's workshop, whatever it was, or just volunteering to speak to the kids and motivational speaking. I did everything, and I still volunteer the substantial amount of my time to do that.
Yeah.
And I never bragged about it. I never even really told anyone about it. I was just excited to get my books in the young readers' hands and to make an impact and to finally have that fulfillment of the book being in the curriculum. So like I said, I partnered with lots of companies in the communities, and I would find people to sponsor the books, even if it was parent groups. I mean, listen, I would be like cold calling. I do whatever I have to do to make sure that like Howard School could get 100 books. Books aren't cheap, but once again, it's like if the impact and the reasoning is there and you show people your passion and you show them the long lasting effect it can have, the positive effect, they'll pull up for you.
Exactly.
They will pull up for you. So because of all those reasons, word spread across the state. Who is this Anna Nyakana? And I was nominated and then confirmed to be honored with the 2020 100 Women of Color Award and class valedictorian for all of that work. And it was such an amazing and momentous moment for me. I felt that my entire state recognized me for the work. They were proud of me. And now they were telling me to like go forth, like continue the work, go across the country, go around the world, and continue spreading the NIYAH ZURI message. We're proud of you. Continue the work, sis.
Yeah. And you created your own path, and that pushes me to see, even when there's a no in a multiple, group of no's, you always pave your own path. You believe in yourself. Like you mentioned, it starts within you. You have to believe in yourself. You have to know that this is what you're meant to do, and nothing's going to stop you. Once you start believing in your greatness and knowing your greatness, there's nothing that can really stop you. And that's exactly what happened in your situation. You're relentless and you have a mission, you have a purpose, and there's nothing that's going to stop you. I don't see anything stopping you. So thank you for all that.
That recognition, sis. Thank you for being an incredible woman and for uplifting me and pouring into me. This right here is a beautiful example of how sisterhood should be. So I thank you for yourself. I thank you for your genuine self, and for understanding the importance of uplifting a fellow woman of color, and that we don't have to feel like we're in it alone. It's so important.
Yep. So thank you so much. I just want to thank you for making the time to actually speak with me. I know you're busy. I read and I tune in to what you're doing, and it's commendable. Keep on the great, path that you're on, and just there's greatness ahead of you. So continue to do what you're doing. We're here for it. We see you, and we're here for it. We're rooting for you. So thank you.
Thank you so much for the rooting. I won't let you down. I won't let any of you down. I'm going to continue to work. Honestly, I carry everybody with me in my spirit. I really do. So please keep up with me. Website, all social media at NIYAH_ZURI. I have a lot coming out. Working on the second book, like I mentioned. Working on completing this teaser for Adventures with NIYAH ZURI. Now jumping from books to digital content with my cartoon series. And I have a lot of other top secret projects that I'll be dropping probably within the next few weeks. If not before 2020, I'm announcing a lot of exclusive news of things that I've been like tirelessly working towards. I'm just extremely excited and grateful for the universe just blessing me and really honoring me with the opportunity to continue the movement.
Yes. Thank you. And you're so humble with it, So yeah. I want to ask you, I do this at the end of my show all the time.
Okay. Oh, curveball. Here we go. Curveball.
Any shout outs? Are there any shout outs that you like to make?
Oh, I got to do it one more time. I have to. Well, first, you know what? Let me shout out my plug. Let me shout out Michelle Mackle at Plugstar. She is my PR plug, and we teamed up recently during this quarantine, and her and I are just on an unstoppable force. It's so important to have good people on your team that believe in you, that believe in your mission, like everything. I know she would go tooth and nail for me. So shout out to Michelle. And of course, my family, all my family, everybody in Connecticut as well. CT stands up. Everybody back home in Uganda, stand up. Everybody back home in Berlin, stand up. And of course, Shout out to the NIYAH ZURI tribe. I love you. Thank you for rocking with me from day one. And even today, if you're just tapped in, thank you for being committed to the purpose and seeing the vision of what we are doing for everybody, especially our youth, to live beautifully in their purpose. And let's transform this world. Let's continue the work.
Yes, yes, yes. So it's been so humbling to speak to you. You have many projects in the works, and I look forward to speaking to you again. Keep doing what you're doing and continue to stay beautiful inside and out, because you got the brains and you got the looks and you have.
Oh, so do you, sis.
Oh, girl, stop.
So do you. We are united now. We come together as a full package. Okay, you hear that, everybody?
Yes, thank you. So thank you so much. Until next time.
Make sure to follow House of Ramirez on all social media platforms.